So the purpose of this training video is to show you how we're going to pick up a new setup at Con Global. Things you're going to need are 6 zip ties. You'll need 4 of the heavy ones, 2 of these lighter ones. I prefer the high contrast color so they're easier to see. We'll get to that in a minute. First thing we're going to do is take this plug out of the basket, plug it into this socket here. It's got a little nipple on the bottom that goes to the bottom here. It's keyed, so it only goes one way. Put it in, twist lock. We're going to keep this pulled where it's tight, not overly tight, but so it's high. If this goes too low, like this, whenever the next person hooks up, they're going to catch this with the 5th wheel, pull it under, it'll cut it in half. So always make sure you keep it pulled up tight. First 2 zip ties are going to keep this cable secured to the basket. Just like that. On these carrier units, this toggle switch right here, if it is down, that's off. You want to make sure it's on. We'll come back to this after we start the genset. Down. Now we got the cord plugged in, secured. Next thing we're going to do is start our genset. This genset, this is a newer model, it has a 3-way switch. You have off, on, and start. Start is all the way to the top. Turn it to the on position, give it about 5-10 seconds to warm the glow plugs. Once they're warmed, push up and hold the start and release, it'll go back to the on position. Like that. So the genset will take about 30 to 60 seconds to run through its own diagnostic after it starts. Once it is warmed, you'll hear it rev, the engine will speed up. That's when it started to send its voltage out to the refrigeration unit. When the display comes on, we will show you how to set your temperature. Depending on what if you're doing a backhaul of wine, you'll set it to 12.8 Celsius. If you're going back empty, it's going to a meat plant, we'll set it to negative 1.6, but we'll get to that in a minute. This one's set to negative 1.7. This is your actual temperature inside the box. We're going to be getting a load of wine to come back to Omaha with, so we want to set this temperature to positive 12.8. So these up and down arrows change their temperature. If you ever get a dispatch that reads Fahrenheit, the easiest way is just push this button, push and hold, it'll switch Fahrenheit from Celsius. Let go, it goes back to Celsius. So we'll change this to 12.8. 12.8, push enter, locks it in place. Okay, securing your container to the chassis. You're going to have, you'll have 2 remove these pins in the front like this, you want to make sure you grab the pin, run it all the way forward. This locking bar will drop in place to secure it. You're going to use these smaller zip ties in the front. They're a lot easier. What I like to do is I like to fold it in half, give it a pinch, makes it a lot easier to run it in. The way I like to do this is I keep the lower side all the way on the bottom. The top one you're going to run through that hole. We're going to bring both ends up. I know my hands are in the way, but bring both ends up like this so you can run it through and get it started. Once you have it started, you're going to push it out of this hole right here. Pull it tight. It doesn't have to be Armstrong tight, just tighten up to hold that in place so it's not able to open. You want it to look like that on the inside, so when the next guy grabs it to deliver, when they get to the port, we have to cut these off so it's easier to get your tool in to cut it off. Okay, move back to the back pin. Rear locking pins are opening like this. This is your lock bar. Lift it. Push the lock pin past it and let this fall down. When your heavy zip ties, you're going to push it through that bottom and just wrap it around this bar. You don't have to go through the other hole up here, just through the bar. Zip tie it. Just snug, it don't have to be tight. You gotta have a little bit of play, otherwise if it's too tight, the vibration will break this. You'll be out here again putting it back on. So, just like that. On a side note, these front ones, go back up here. These front zip ties, some of our drivers will run them, there's a hole in the bottom, they'll run it through that, or they'll leave this tie inside the canister. I pull it out this side because two reasons. One, when you go through a weigh station, the officers can see the zip tie sticking out and they know you have a double securement on the locking pin. Reason number two is when you're driving down the road, you look in your mirror, you can see this zip tie in your mirror so you know it's intact and it's good. If you look in the mirror and this is gone, find someplace safe to stop and replace the zip tie as soon as you can. Same with the back. If it's sticking out to the side, you can see it in the mirror. The brakes off, stop, replace it. You don't want to go through a weigh station without zip ties. That could cause you to get pulled around back, inspected, and could be a citation for improper load securement. Picking up, you want to make sure your container always has both of these tails on them so you can tie the doors open. You also want to make sure both sides of your container has these locking or securement hooks for your doors. If you don't have the hooks or the ties, you need to let the guy know who's in charge of the releasing of the genset or chassis, so he can either replace that or give you a new setup. A lot of the meat plants, they won't accept a container that doesn't have the tie on there. So we'll go ahead and finish our locks. Verify your fuel, make sure it's full. Just because the gauge says full doesn't always mean it's full. You have to open the cap, look inside, and you should be able to see fuel at the top of the neck that verifies it's full. These locking clamps, these bolts should be ran all the way down to secure this clamp to the chassis. This is the only thing that holds your fuel cell and your genset to the chassis. Make sure all four, you have two on this side, two on the opposite side, same location. Make sure these are always tight, secure. Should have a pin ran through the bolt down here so the bolt doesn't run back and fall all the way out. If this comes loose, you run the risk of this whole unit, fuel tank and everything, falling to the ground and dragging. Then you have to call either a tow truck or get somebody with a forklift to come to you, lift this up, and secure it back in place. Okay, last of our 4 pins. Push it in, lock bar down, zip tie folded in half. Through the hole in the locking bar. Back. Pull it tight. Okay, once this is all done, you want to turn on your lights, your 4-way flashers in your truck. You hook up your airlines, pigtail, supply air to the trailer. Make sure you have no leaks. Do a proper pre-trip on the rest of this chassis. Your lights, turn signals, check your tires, your brakes, suspension, just like a normal pre-trip on a 53-foot trailer. Once that's done, unless the guy has filled out your piece of paper that you have from here to release your genset and chassis and container, piece of paper. This is the paper you get for release. Sometimes the guy in this little shed over here, he'll come over, he'll write down the numbers for what you're taking. You'll open the back door to verify it is clean inside. He'll sign it. You sign your name on the bottom. Otherwise, you're going to pull ahead in line. Usually on the far left lane over here, you'll pull up. There's another container with a fellow in there who will check your box. He'll verify your numbers. You'll open the door for him. Make sure it's clean inside. He'll sign off. Then you'll pull ahead to the checkout office or the check-in office where you checked in. You give them that sheet. They'll give you a long piece like your original long piece when you pulled in. And from there, you're ready to go. Always make sure want to take a picture of your container number. Chassis number, genset number. You'll also take a picture of your temperature display after it's come on and you've set it to your proper temperature for either a wine load or a meat load. You'll send all these pictures to dispatch, as that is our requirement to do so far. And once you're all done, just have a safe trip. Hope this helps.